सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। यथा च पुरुषो वाव गौतमाग्निः योषा वाव गौतमाग्निः इत्यत्र योषित्पुरुषयोः अग्निबुद्धिः मानसी भवति केवलचोदनाजन्यत्वात् क्रियैव सा पुरुषतन्त्रा च यातु प्रसिद्धे अग्नौ अग्निबुद्धिः न सा चोदनातन्त्रा नापि पुरुषतन्त्रा किं तर्हि प्रत्यक्षविषयवस्तुतन्त्रैवेति ज्ञानमेव एतत् न क्रिया. So this is very important point is being clinched here. So this word knowledge should not be associated with act. Act of knowledge is wrong. Knowledge is knowledge, it is not an action. Knowledge of registering what is within experience, that is called knowledge. So, something must be already within experience. And I just give my attention to it. That's all that is called registering. Hey, this is this, which I haven't taken note of. Thus, what is in the form of an anubhava? Registering that it is in anubhava, and this is its nature. Thus, registering a reality that is within experience is called really knowledge. And that knowledge is again not other than that awareness, which is always there. Knowledge is never created. Ignorance is removed. The unknownness of a fact is removed, or the erroneous thought of that reality is removed. There is removal of ignorance and error. There is removal of ignorance and error. And when it comes to knowledge, that is already there. That is already evident. About the evident, there is non-registering and there is error. So, removing the unknownness of it and removing the error about it is what is called removing the ignorance about it, removing the error about it. Then what remains is only knowledge, because it is already evident. That evidence of it is knowledge. That evidence of a fact minus the unknownness of it. Evidence of a fact minus the error about it is knowledge. We call it knowledge, but it is not created. Therefore, knowledge is not an action. Action is something that is brought about. I bring about a non-existent action. And action brings about a non-existent effect. Action itself is born. And the result of the action also is born. So, whereas knowledge is something that is already there. Thus, knowledge is not something that is created. This is a very, very Mahasiddhantam in Vedanta. So, there are a lot of scientific realities discovered. But all these scientific physical realities were already they were already sense evident. They were already evident. Creation is already evident. And all the details of the creation are also evident. You see? So, like simple reality like the law of gravitation was already experienced. That is called being evident. And I did not know. So when I remove the unknownness, ununderstoodness of it, I remove. What was already evident, what was already evident, minus the ununderstoodness of it or the error about it, is called knowledge. That very evidence is knowledge. The evidence is knowledge. We call it knowledge, but that's not other than the evidence. Thus, knowledge is never born, and knowledge is the truth. The knowledge of an object is not other than the truth. Is not other than the truth. So here also the existence of oneself is already felt. It is not felt as an object of a feeling. It is not felt as an object of feeling, it is felt as the very subject of all feelings, as the source of all feelings, as the illuminer of all feelings, as the illuminer of the negation of all feelings. As oneself, it is already evidence. That evidence of one's existence is not brought about. It is eternal. That is the truth. About that evident existence about oneself, there is a certain non-understoodness about it. There is a certain distorted vision about it, the error about it. Thus, I remove that unregisteredness by looking at it closely. I remove the error about it by looking closely at it. Then minus the ever-evident minus the ununderstoodness is knowledge. The ever-evident minus the distortion about it is knowledge. Therefore, knowledge is not something that is brought about. That's why here he says, now this kind of knowledge is something different from attitudes. Attitudes and beliefs, which we call upasanas. Attitude is something you look upon something as something else. You see, you look upon the waters of Ganga as sacred. That is an attitude. You look upon, you see, the fire as Agni Devata. It's an attitude. That's a feeling. That's an attitude. And attitude is something which is purely subjective and which is something over which we have a choice. We can have that attitude, and if we decide not to have it, we can just get out of it. We can just drop it. So these are all subjective attitudes. So, for example, that attitude is different from recognizing what is choicelessly evident. Truth is choicelessly evident, unavoidably evident. See, not only one's existence is unavoidably, inevitably, choicelessly evident, but its being unlimited also is choicelessly evident. It's being distorted. It's not understood. That is why, so the knowledge, registering what is evident is different from entertaining an attitude about something, an attitude. See, that's an attitude. Like, says, Purushe yathacha Purusho vava Gautama Agnihi. Look upon man as fire. Gautama Purusho vava, why indeed the Agni, fire. Look upon man as fire. This looking upon man as fire is an attitude. This is called upasana. This is called upasana. It's an attitude. Yosha vai Gautama Agnihi, a woman is fire. Yosha means a woman. Looking upon man as fire and also a woman as fire is an attitude. Ityatra, in this manner, in these two vakyas, Yoshit Purushayoho, on a woman and a man, Agni Buddhihi, this attitude that man is fire and a woman is fire, this Agni Buddhihi, Manasi Bhavati, it's a mental action. A mental attitude can be called mental action. Attitudes come under actions. Why? Because they are subjective. Anything over which I have a choice is an action. That is the definition of an action. Kartum akartum anyatava kartum shakyam. Attitudes are entertained by us. We choose to have deliberate attitudes, and we can choose not to have. So, looking upon man as fire or a woman as fire is an attitude. It's not a physical action, but it is a mental action because it is an attitude. It is subjective. Or even you look upon fire as fire deity, Agni Devata. You salute fire as God fire. fire god. This attitude of looking upon fire as fire god is what? This is an attitude, subjective attitude, over which we have choice. We can choose to look upon it as a devata. I can withdraw that act. I can lose. I don't believe it. So, these are all called attitudes. Attitudes are a part of culture. Attitudes have their role to play. Attitudes, to begin with, human beings have to begin their life with certain attitudes, religious attitudes, spiritual attitudes. But there is a difference between these subjective attitudes and understanding the truth as it is. Knowledge is different. Attitudes are different. Thus, when the Shruti says, well, thou art Brahman, it doesn't mean look upon yourself as unlimited. Just as you look upon man as fire, in that manner look upon yourself as unlimited. It is not looking upon yourself as unlimited. It says, thou art Brahman, you are unlimited, is not a statement of attitude. It's not a statement that's meant to induce a certain attitude in the person. It is a statement of fact, as seen by the Shastram, as experienced by man, but not understood by man. But as seen by the Shastra, it says to man, you are an unlimited being, and it is also experienced by man, but not understood. Thus, this is called Vastu Paravakyam. Vastu Paravakyam means a statement of reality, statement of fact. It doesn't mean to say that look upon yourself as Brahman. Look upon a woman as fire, attitude. Look upon fire as fire god, attitude. But ityatra yoshit purushayoho agni buddhihi manasi bhavati. It is mental and mental action. Here you can use the word action for attitudes. All beliefs can come under actions. All attitudes can come under action. Clear? And what are these attitudes? Kevala chodana janyatvat. It is kevala chodana janyatvat. These are the attitudes, religious attitudes induced by Veda. Of course, for the benefit of man. At least, these religious attitudes perhaps have something to give to man for mental purity. And therefore, these attitudes are induced by or prescribed by Veda. As prescribed by Veda, these attitudes are called Chodana Tantram. As prescribed, attitudes, mental attitudes, and certain physical do's and don'ts, which are prescribed by Veda for, of course, the immediate, for the good of the jiva. Well, these actions and attitudes, as prescribed by Veda, are called Chodana Tantra. Not only they are Chodana Tantra, but also the sa kevala chodana tantra chodana janyatvat kriya eva. They are actions. Purusha tantra cha. And it is also Purusha tantra. Because even though Veda prescribes attitudes for me, I may choose not to have them. It is still within my hands. All that is prescribed by Veda, I don't have to follow. It is still in my hands to follow it or not to follow it. And therefore that makes it, that it is within my hands makes it Purusha tantra. And that it is prescribed by Veda makes it Chodana tantra. Thus all attitudes, religious attitudes and religious actions are all both Purusha tantra and Chodana tantra. All religious attitudes and actions, including whatever forms of worships that we do. So look upon Shiva, Lingam as Shiva, or look upon this Murti as Vishnu, or look upon this Shaligrama as Vishnu. Whatever, wherever there is a religious attitude, that is both the Chodana tantra and Purusha tantra, which can just really evaporate in no time. If I decide, Veda may prescribe a lot of things, but I may decide, I'm not interested. Now, in contrast to this, he explains what is knowledge. Knowledge is Yatu prasiddhe agnav. Now, you see the fire, and you don't look upon it as fire god, but you look upon it as, you discover that it is hot substance. Fire is something hot. I register it as a hot element. I understand it as hot element. Why? Because it is not, Veda doesn't tell me look upon it as hot, nor do I choose to look upon it as hot. It becomes evident through my sense of perception that it is hot. It can't be otherwise. As evident through the senses, it is hot. So it is a sense-evident reality. This sense-evident reality I come to know as it is. Then it is only knowledge, not attitude. It's knowledge. Prasiddhe agnav agni buddhihi. This agni buddhihi, agnav agni buddhihi. See the thought of the fire as fire. That knowledge, agni buddhihi. Nasa chodana tantra. This is not an attitude induced by Veda. It doesn't say look upon it as hot. Na chodana. Na pi purusha tantra. Nor is it something that I choose to look upon it as hot. It doesn't give me any choice to me. It is choicelessly hot. It is knowledge, not attitude. If it is knowledge, it is not an action. If it is knowledge, then it is not action. Physical actions come under actions. Mental attitudes come under actions. Mental beliefs come under actions. But a physical fact, knowing it as it is knowledge of that physical fact. Because it is already within my sense realm, it is already within my sense, that is called, it is sense evident. I come to register it is hot, unlike other things. Thus, in the context of the creation, I register what is fire. Then it is only knowledge. There also knowledge is not created. Well, before I did not know, let us say, Before I did not know that it was hot. Its uniqueness in the creation I did not know. Now I become free from my ignorance about it, whereas the knowledge of it is not created. Why? Because knowledge is nothing but the already obtaining evidence minus the ununderstoodness. The already obtaining evidence. The already obtaining evidence, universal evidence minus ununderstoodness is knowledge. So knowledge is not created, only the ununderstoodness is gone, or an error about it is gone, but knowledge is not really born. Thus it is knowledge, it is jnanam, but not jnana kriya. It's jnanam, but not jnana kriya. It is knowledge, but not act of knowledge, not an action of knowledge. Because if you use the word action, then it has to be Purusha Tantra. And Purusha Tantra means it has to be either physical action or it has to be a mental attitude. Attitudes are subjective. Actions are also subjective, because I can choose to perform them. I can choose not to perform them. I can choose to perform them differently. Thus, they are all based upon my choice. My attitudes are also based upon my choice. I can decide to have them. I can decide to, well, get out of them. If I have a wrong attitude towards somebody, I can work on my attitude and change my attitude. If I can change my attitude, then definitely it is something over which I have a choice. Thus, in the realm of attitudes, reform is possible as an individual. Man can really reform only in terms of his attitudes. But when it comes to understanding what is there, I have to use the valid means of knowledge, the Shabda Pramanam. If I have to get the knowledge about a scientific fact, a physical fact, then I have to use the valid means called the sense perception and the reasoning, and then understand it as it is. Similarly, here when it comes to the Atma, I have to use the Shabda Pramanam and then register the Swarupa as it is. In that really there is no reform or anything. There I have to use the valid means of knowledge and know it. Thus all attitudes are subjective, all actions are subjective, and they can be called kriya. But knowledge cannot be called kriya, because knowledge means the already obtaining evidence of a fact minus ununderstoodness. So our inquiry only removes our non-understanding about the already evident. It only removes the error about the already evident. And the already evident means it is knowledge, evidence. Knowledge is not greater than the choiceless evidence. Knowledge is not something additional to. The choiceless evidence cannot be improved upon. Like even the object, the fire is hot, its sense evidence cannot be improved upon. The evidence of the universe, the sense evidence of the universe cannot be improved upon. You can't add anything to it, you can't delete anything from it. So, the sense evidence of the universe is complete. And it is nothing but, that evidence is nothing but the truth. That knowledge is the truth. The form may not be the truth, but its evidence is knowledge. I know, I am aware, it's evident to me. That is truth. Thus, there is a difference between upasana and jnana. Upasana can be associated with kriya, upasana, kriya. Similarly, rituals, actions can be called kriya. Physical actions, mental actions. And when we use the word mental action, what does it mean? Mental attitudes. Mental attitudes. All mental actions are mental attitudes. But even though I use my thinking also to understand what is already evident, but yet that understanding what is already evident, seeing that it is already evident, cannot come under the realm of action. It's not an action. It's not an action because knowledge is not subjective. Knowledge is not subjective. Do you know why? Because the already obtaining evidence of any fact is not subjective. The already obtaining evidence of a physical fact or the already obtaining evidence of this self is not by my choice. And I only see what is evident. And that is what is called removing the ignorance about it, removing the error about it. And that's not by choice. That is why here it is said, Yad prasiddhe agni buddhihi nasa chodana tantra na vipurusha tantra kim tarihi pratyaksha vishaya vastu tantraiveti jnanameva yetat na kriya. Looking upon man as fire is an attitude. Looking upon a woman as fire is an attitude. Looking upon fire as fire God is an attitude. But seeing fire as fire is knowledge. Why? Pratyaksha Vishaya Vastu Tantraiva. It is Vastu Tantram. I am only registering it as it is evident. I am not really adding any attitude to it. I can't add really, just listen to this. I can't add evidence to it, further evidence. Fire is hot. It is evident as hot. Now I can't add any further evidence to it. Meaning it doesn't become brighter than it is. I can't add any evidence to it. And if I have an attitude about it, like fire God, it is not adding to the evidence. If I look upon the fire as fire God, this attitude is not adding to the evidence of fire, nor is it eclipsing the evidence of fire, nor is it concealing the evidence of fire. It is only a subjective attitude about the evident fire. Is it not? It is an attitude about the evident fire. It doesn't add to the evidence. It doesn't change the evidence. It doesn't eclipse the evidence. It is only just a subjective attitude over and above the evidence. So it's a deliberate distortion. A deliberate distortion. And a deliberate distortion is upasana anyway. So when I look upon fire as fire God, it is an attitude. And if I see fire as fire, it is knowledge. Thus, there is a huge difference between human attitudes, human beliefs about the objects and about himself. We have attitudes about objects and we have attitudes about the truth. But knowledge about the objects is different from attitudes about the objects. And attitudes about knowledge about ourselves, knowledge about what the truth is, knowledge is about what the self is, and attitudes about the self, beliefs about the self. They are two different things. Attitudes may have something to give us. Attitudes and actions are purely subjective, whereas understanding it is Vastu Tantra, it is true to the fact. And therefore here Bhashyakara says, Jnanameva etat. Knowledge is only knowledge, not kriya, it is not an action. And let us not associate, act of knowledge. That is technically wrong. Act of knowledge is wrong because knowing is not an action. An act of walking is all right. An act of talking is all right. An act of eating is all right. And an act of feeling, all right. An act of attitude is all right. But knowing a fact as it is, whether it is a physical fact or a non-physical conscious fact, knowing it as it is not an act of knowing. It is only knowledge, not act. That's why Bhashyakara says, Jnanameva etat. It is only knowledge, not kriya. And knowledge is not other than the already obtaining evidence. This is very important statement. Knowledge is not other than the already obtaining evidence. And my reflection only removes my non-understanding about the evidence. My reflection only removes a distorted notion about it. But my reflection doesn't add to the already obtaining evidence. My reflection doesn't add to the factuality of the fact. My reflection doesn't add to the already obtaining evidence of it. I can't add to the evidence. Our education can only remove our non-understandings and misunderstandings about what is evident. No subjective attitudes and actions. Can be synonymous with knowledge. Evam sarva pramana vishaya vastushu veditavyam. Now Bhashyakara says, sir, just as your knowledge of fire is not an action, this must be applied to any knowledge including Brahma Vidya. Sarva pramana vishaya vastushu. In the matters of knowledge of anything in the creation, veditavyam should be understood to be the same. Just as knowledge of fire, as hot fire, is not a physical action nor a mental attitude, but it is only registering what is evident. In the same manner, and in the same manner, Whether it is a physical fact or a conscious fact, all knowledge pertaining to anything is always Vastu Tantram. It is not Purusha Tantram. It applies to everything, including Brahma Vidya. Just as the only difference between fire and Brahman is fire is sense evident, whereas the Brahman is self-evident. It's not play of words. Understand? Whoever thinks Vedanta is play of words is very unfortunate. Because unfortunate comes in many ways to person. You come to make unfortunate conclusions and then lose interest in it and then start going here and there. You see, Prarabdham, like Kumbhakarna, he prays to Brahmaji and Brahmaji comes, what do you want? Brahmaji, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all of them had known that this joker is going to ask for Indra Padavi. And then Indra was so frightened that he is going to lose his chair. And then he tells Brahmaji, you have to help me out. Then Brahmaji talks to his consort, Saraswati. And Saraswati said, don't worry, I will not allow him to topple Indra, because Kumbhakarna was a Rakshasa. So, Saraswati ji goes and then camps on Kumbhakarna's tongue. And then when Brahmaji comes and asks, what do you want? Instead of saying Indra Padavi, he says, I want Nidra Padavi. I want Indra Padavi. I want Indra Padavi. Indrasan. He wanted Indrasan. He said, I want Nidrasan. Brahmaji says, without losing any time, Tathastu. Tathastu. You see? Slip of a tongue. If a slip of a tongue can cause so much of damage, a slip of an attitude, a slip of thinking, a slip in thinking can last for lives. You see, a slip in thinking can last for lives. The moment I consider that Vedanta is also words, Shabda Praman, which is Pramanam, if you look upon it as words, and that would destroy the interest in it, and for many lives it's gone. And therefore, when we say the world is sense-evident and the subject is self-evident, it's not play of words. The truth is self-evident. Because the one who is aware of the objects, the one who is aware of the objects, is self-evident. My existence is not evident to me through my eyes. If my existence were evident to me, through my eyes, then I would be an object, not the subject. If I am the subject of the eyes and the subject of the senses, definitely I am not the object. That means I am not sense-evident. In this manner, here Bhagavan says, Vastu Tantram, knowledge, that the knowledge is not mental action. We use the mind to understand. We use our own experience to understand it. But that doesn't mean it is a mental action, nor a physical action. Evam sarva pramana vishaya vastushu veditavyam tatraivam sati yatha bhutam brahmatma vishayamapi jnanam na chodana tantram. Tatra evam sati, when it is so, yathabhuta brahmatma vishayamapi. Jnana, understanding the self-evident conscious being, the evident conscious being as unlimited, not as confined to the form. If it is not the form, then it is not confined to the form also. But it is confined to the form. If it is, either it is a form or it is not a form. If the subject is not a form, then how can it be confined to a form? It is a new idea. The vichara is only either is it a form or a non-form. What I see is a form, but the one who sees is not a form. And the one who sees is not a form. Therefore, the seer of the form cannot be confined to the form by nature. It's not confined to the form. It's not a form. The seer of the form can't be a form. However much I may think that it is the form, but still the truth is that it is not the form. And it is constantly being proved also that it is not the form, because I continue to stand, even when I have the idea that I am the form, I continue to stand as the seer of the form, seer of the wing, seer of the dream, and seer of their negation. There is no less seeing. There is no decrease in my seeing nature, even when there is no waking and dream. Our seeing nature doesn't become manifest more in the waking and the dream. The seeing nature of the seer is the same. Whether I see the presence of the form or I see the absence of the form, I experience the form. I experience also its negation. That experiencing nature, that seeing nature, it doesn't become more, doesn't become less. Doesn't become less. And therefore, knowledge pertaining to the self as the unlimited is also na chodana tantram. It is not an attitude induced by Veda. Na chodana. So Veda doesn't say look upon yourself as unlimited. It says you are unlimited, understand. Na chodana tantram. And we can also add napi purusha tantram, and therefore it is also not purusha tantram. It is not something, by my choice. It is not my attitude. It's not that I look upon by my choice. I look upon myself as unlimited. Nor does the Vedanta ask me to look upon myself as unlimited. Okay. Now, this is all Shastra. Now, I have to, for the coming next sentence, I have to build up. You have to listen to understand the next one. You see, the job of a pramana is, the job of a Vedanta pramana is only to state what you are. It is up to you to know it or not to know it. It's up to you. Its job is only this much. Thou art Brahman. This Jagat is an appearance in Brahman. The source and the support and the end of the Jagat is Brahman. Tad Brahma Swamasi. Thou art not Jiva. Thou art the unlimited being. You have no birth. You have no death. You have no cause. You are not caused by something, nor have you caused anything. In this manner, the job of the Shabda Pramana is to state of fact as it is. Stating a fact. Its job is not to inspire you to know it. Very important. Its job is not to inspire you to know it. It is up to you to know it or not. But it is meant to, it unfolds the truth. It states the truth means it unfolds the truth. And it is for the student to know it. It is for the jiva to know it or not to know it. This is what is called Vastu Paravakyam. Like Atma is Brahma. What is it? Is it a statement of inspiration or is it a statement of fact? It is a statement of fact. Supposing I say, hey, beneath the floor in your bedroom, there is gold. I come to your house and I am a diviner. You know diviner? So I come to know, I miss all that is there on the earth, but register what is underground. You see? So I am thinking more about what is there underground rather than on the ground. Therefore I come and tell you there is gold mine beneath the floor of your bedroom. That's all. This is a statement of fact. Let us suppose statement. Now it is up to you to go after it or not. That's not my job. That is not the job of a diviner. A diviner is one who says, this is this. Vedanta Pramana says, thou art the unlimited, eternal being, that the Jagat is only your distorted vision about yourself. This is what is called Vastu Paravakyam. What does it mean in English? A statement of fact. You have to follow it very carefully. Along with the paribhasha. Vastu Paravakyam. Now, if Vedanta being a Shabda Pramanam and its job only should be to state a fact, the absolute fact as it is. In these statements of facts, should not, must not have no place. It doesn't say you should be Brahman. It says you are Brahman. Like fire is hot, not fire should be hot. Not Jagat should be false. Jagat is false. What is it? A statement of fact. But now the Purvapakshi comes up here. Sir, if Vedanta Pramanam is only talking about the nature of the fact, then why should it use the lingas? Lingas means these shoulds and musts. Sometimes it does use statements inspiring man to know. Very important. Vedanta should only state what I am. It should not tell me go after it. Like my eyes should only, eyes being a pramana, it can't have any other job than to reveal a form. Whether to go after the form or not is not the job of eyes. That's not the eyes. That's not the definition of a pramana. Ears reveal sounds, but it doesn't tell me to go after. The senses reveal physical facts, but the senses don't. They don't tell me to go after. They don't tell. They only reveal. There they culminate. Senses culminate in revealing the sense objects. Similarly, if Vedanta is a pramanam, then it has to only state what the truth is. What man is, what God is. What God is, what the world is, what man is. What is this whole existence? Vedanta should state about the whole existence, leaving nothing behind. And if that is the job of Vedanta Pramanam, then why should Vedanta Pramanam use Vakyas inspiring man to know the truth? So here the Purvapakshi asks a question, how do you interpret the inspiring statements? Inspiring statements means, man, you must go and know the truth. Hey Jiva, you must know the truth. Hey Jiva, you must listen to it. Hey Jiva, you must reflect upon it. Hey Jiva, you must understand it. You must listen to it. You must know the truth. For that you must listen. For that you must reflect. For that you must contemplate. You must understand. What is this must? Is it a statement of fact or a statement of inspiration? Statement of prompting. These are statements which are prompting. These are called technically Vidhi Vakyas. Vidhi Vakyas means asking you to do or asking you to know. So generally in the Karma Kanda, when the Veda tells you to do, primarily that is Vidhi. Primarily that is Vidhi. Do this action, do that action. These are primarily Vidhis. But knowing is not an action. Therefore, even if they look like Vidhis, you must hear, you must study Vedanta, you must hear, you must reflect, you must know, even though must is used. In fact, listening is not an action, reflection is not an action, understanding is not an action. Therefore, this must, even though it is used, it looks Vidhi grammatically, but actually it is not Vidhi, it is Vidhi Chaya. Vidhi Chaya means only looking like Vidhis. Okay, if they are looking like Vidhis, then what is the Tatparyam? What is the purpose of these Vidhis? These inspiring statements are for what? These inspiring Vakyas are not meant to convey that knowledge also is an action. These inspiring Vakyas are only meant to turn man's attention from the world to himself. Thus, all the Vidhipara Vakyas, the inspiring statements in the Vedanta, are not to be taken as statements of facts. The inspiring statements are meant to turn man's attention to the fact. And when he turns his attention to himself, then when he contemplates and understands, that entire pursuit of study, listening, reflection and understanding is not an action, it is just an effort to register what is evident. That effort to register what is evident, that effort to remove the non-understanding about the evident, that effort to remove the error about the evident cannot come under an action. It is jnanam, not jnana kriya. Clear? That is going to be the paksha now. This paksha now here. Just another couple of lines we will see. Tad vishaye lingadayah shruyamanaha api aniyojya vishayatvat kunthi bhavanti upaladishu prayukta shura taikshnyadivat aheya anupadeya vastu vishayatvat. Now, tad vishaye, in the matter of unfolding the vastu atma, tad vishaye, brahmatma vishaye, lingadayaha. Lingadayaha means these musts and shoulds in Sanskrit. Like, atma vare drashtavyaha. That tavya pratyaya is used. You have to understand the self. It is a statement of inspiration. Atma vare drashtavyaha. And for understanding Atma, what should you do? Shrotavyaha. You have to listen about it. Mantavyaha should be reflected upon. Nidithyasitavyaha. It should be deeply meditated upon, contemplated upon. In this manner, must be understood, must be heard, must be reflected, must be contemplated. This must be. This must generally associates with something to be done. Is it not? So if it is associated with something to be done, then it looks like a vidhi. But actually they are not vidhis, but they are vidhi chayani. They only look like vidhis involving no action. That is why tad vishaye lingadayaha shruyamanaha api. The musts and shoulds that are heard in Vedanta, aniyojya vishayatvat. Aniyojya vishayatvat means these musts and shoulds can't end up in actions. Like, I'll try to convey, try to understand. You must go. So must has an object. You must go. Going is an action, therefore must has a sense. The sense of the must is in the form of an action. You must go means you go. You start going. You must eat. So the must has a sense there because you start eating. It creates an action. You must go, that must puts you in action. You must eat, that must puts you in action. You must sit down, that must puts you in action. That action in which the must puts you is called niyojya. Niyojya means an action in which man is put by the word must. Yojya. You must go. The must puts you in the act of going. Aram se sun lijiye. Even though it is difficult, patiently we have to hear it. If we can get it, it's great. You must come. It puts you in the act of coming. You must go to office. It puts you in the act of going. You must come to the class every day. It puts you in the act of coming to the class every day. Act. Now, when the Shruti says you must know, in which action does the must put you in? You must know yourself. In which action does the must put you? Are you able to follow? You must know the self. That must does not put you in the act of knowing the self. Why? Knowing is not an action. Therefore, you must know the truth. In this statement, must doesn't have niyojya. Must doesn't, there is no action in which must can put the person. That is why, what is this Atma vare drashtavyaha, shotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha, aniyojya vishayatvat. These are the statements in which there is no niyojyam, there is no action, in which man can be put. Aniyojya vishayatvat. Therefore, what is their purpose if they don't put man in any action? They don't put man in the act of knowing, because knowing is not an action. Then what is it that these musts and shoulds do? Bhagavan says, Aniyojya vishayatvat kunti bhavanti. In fact, they become blunt. These musts and shoulds become kunti bhavanti, they become blunt. Like what? Upaladishu, on the rocks. Prayukta, if you put. Shura, a sword. Taikshnadivat, like the sharpness. How the edge of a sword becomes really folded up. It becomes blunt. It doesn't cut the rock, but itself folds up. It becomes blunt. When you put the sword on the rock, instead of cutting the rock, itself becomes blunt. Similarly, these musts and shoulds, when they are used in the context of Atma Vidya, they don't put man in an act of knowing it, but they themselves lose their sharpness. What is their sharpness? Their sharpness lies in putting man in some action. But knowing is not an action. Therefore, what do they become? Kunti bhavanti. They lose their sharpness. Musts and shoulds lose their sharpness in the context of Atma Vidya. And therefore, this you should know, you should hear, you should reflect. These shoulds need not be interpreted to imply knowledge also as another action to be done by one's choice. In fact, their purpose is very different. Their purpose is prayukta kshura taikshnadivat aheya anupadeya vastu vishayatvat. And, these musts and shoulds, they remain sharp when it comes to actions performed to achieve an object or to avoid an object. Whereas the evidence of one's existence, neither I can create it, neither I have to gain it, nor I can lose it. One's existence cannot be gained or lost. I don't have to gain my existence because it is already there. I can't lose it because it is unlosable. Not only one's existence is aheyam and anupadeyam. Aheyam means can't be lost. Anupadeyam means can't be gained. Its being unlimited, the subject being the truth, also cannot be gained or lost. I don't have to accomplish myself, nor can I ever lose it. And therefore, the context in which these shoulds are used, Atma vare drashtavyaha, shotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha, these tavya pratyayas that are used here are used in the context of an Atma which is neither heyam nor upadeyam, and therefore they lose their sharpness and they remain sharp only when it comes to gaining an object or losing an object. That is why I say you must gain money. Then it puts you must get money. That must puts you in the act of gaining money. You must lose money, or you must sell the house. You must get rid of the house. When we say that must puts you in the action of getting rid of the house, there the musts and shoulds remain sharp. They remain very active. They remain active means they make you active. They make you active means they put you in pravrittis and nivrittis. Whereas you must know yourself, you must hear about it, you must think about it. These musts, in the context of Atma, do not put you in some action. Why? Because knowing the self is not in the form of an action. Then what do they do? What is their purpose? That you are not unfolding. For that here he says, well, kimarthani tarihi atmavare drashtavyaham shrotavyaham ityadini vidichayani vachanani. Sir, then what is the purpose of these vidis, these musts and shoulds? You say they don't put man in the act of gaining an object or losing an object, nor do they put man in the act of knowing the self. That means no action. Then what is their purpose? Then what is the purpose of these vidis? What is the purpose? Kimarthani tarihi, then what is the purpose? Atmavare drashtavyaha shrotavyaha ityadini vidichayani vachanani. Then what are these musts and shoulds for? Is the question raised by the Purva-Pakshi. And the answer is given in the next sentence, and that we will see the next class. It's enough. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vadishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Oh Ramachandra. Oh Bhagavan. कुंभकर्ण ने कहा मुझे क्या चाहिए? निद्र पर निद्रासन चाहिए. What did he do tapasya for? Indrasan. What did Saraswati do? They started that. Say Indrasan. Nidrasan. Brahmaji did not make any mistake. Immediately he said, fast. And then he would go to sleep the whole night. Then Ravana wakes him up, untimely waking up. Still 4 more months to go. Because once in 6 months he wakes up. Now he went to sleep just 2 months before. And he was woken up and sent to the battlefield. And there you go. What prarabdham? What prarabdham, Baba? When we listen to all these Puranas, we can understand this prarabdham, what it does. It puts man in all kinds of trouble. Hari Om. How are you? Hari Om. Hari Om. स्वामी जी को दे दो एक, आप लीजिए. और आप ये बस काफी है. Kumbhakarna wakes up. And then, why did you wake me up at this unearthly hour? So the people around him tell him, yes, is everything all right? Lanka में कोई विपत्ति तो नहीं आ पड़ी? Then they say, अभी तक नहीं. अभी तक नहीं. Then what is the problem? Then it says, Rama has surrounded, Vanar Sena has surrounded Lanka. Then Kumbhakarna seems to be a dharmatma. He says, why? What have we done to? Ayodhya is somewhere, our Lanka is somewhere. They should live there peacefully and we should live here peacefully. Why should they come and attack, Lanka? Then those people say that is because Ravana has abducted Rama's wife. See? Then immediately Kumbhakarna understands. Why did Ravana kidnap Jagadamba? Sita to Jagadamba hai. Why did this man do this mistake? Why did he commit such a sin? He was furious and he comes to Ravana. Ravana says, Kumbhakarna quotes scripture to say that how Ravana was. Ravana also quotes scripture. He says, Jo ho gaya, bhai, I am your elder brother, you should listen to what I say. Therefore, you should go, should help me. A. One is Samanya Dharma. Samanya Dharma is whether he is a brother. Dharma is more important than Rishtedari. You understand? Bandhutva. Dharma is more important. It may be your brother. It may be your own parents. It may be your own anybody. But if he is following adharma, then you should not give saath. You should not associate yourself with an adharmic person, whoever he is. You see? Whoever he is. After all, Kauravas were as much close to Krishna as Pandavas. They were all same family. But yet Krishna associated himself with Pandavas because they were with dharma. Therefore, wherever there is dharma, there you have to side with dharma, not side with any person. Dharma sankata hota hai kabhi kabhi. What to do? On one side it is a question of dharma, and the other side it is a question of brother. So I have to choose between dharma and brother. What should I choose? Should I go with brother or should I go with dharma? This is dharma sankat. Dharma sankat means I am in confusion. There you have to only go with dharma, not with anybody. Dharma ke saath nahi chal raha, whoever he is. It is why Vibhishana went. It is why Vibhishana left Ravana. Om Namah Shivaya. It is why Vibhishana left Ravana. He did not choose Ravana. Om Namah Shivaya. Happy Christmas. All the best. Have a nice journey. भगवान गुरुवायूर जी को हमारे विद्यार्थियों की सबकी तरफ से हरिओम का सिंजी है। हरिओम नमः शिवाय। हरिओम जी नमः शिवाय। हरिओम। धर्म बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है। धर्म Yeah. It will keep revising, keep revising.
Tomorrow I won't come to the class.
कोई बात
So Aruna ji explained.
We will come, ji. We know your house. We are all veteran guests of your house.
Everybody along.
We will come. Not to worry. Hari Om ji.